she's kind of hard to slow down, and she pitches a fit if you try to slow her down. But she's getting way better at that, having some time off, so that's really good. But when you go to bend her, it can be a blessing and a curse. So sometimes she's really, really soft, and she'll give you a big wide circle if you go to just ask her to do a circle or two. And other times she's so soft that she pretty much drops her whole body in and kind of does like a little haunch turn or like a miniature spin in the wrong kind of footing kind of way. But so I want to keep her bending and soft, but I don't want her to be so bending and soft that when I ask for a wide circle, she drops her whole body in and does almost like a spin kind of position. So my plan is to set up the barrels, do some basic desensitizing, you know, hit the stirrups on the barrel, which is just to set her up for the future. And then my plan is to walk and trot her through the pattern a few times, see if she can keep forward movement and go around at the same time. And I'm not trying to push her fast or anything like that for anybody concerned. Honestly, I'm not going to do barrels as like a main job for her or anything. It's just to kind of play around. So I did this with Kamani just to kind of play around a little bit and give her a job. Right here, I'm just working on getting her to respond to my leg and my rein to understand to move away from the pressure. So here's my first kind of walkthrough with her. And I'm just literally walking her through, asking her to respond to my leg and my rein cue. So there she did a really good turn. And here you'll see me pull with my outside rein. And that's because I'm trying to get her a little bit off of it. She's way too close to it. And she's kind of fighting that bit a little bit, but there she moved away, so I released the rein pressure. With Avalon, if you do the same thing over and over again, she starts to fight you more. So here I'm just backing her up to regain her attention back on me, and she did a very nice soft back up. Another check in here, you're going to ask her to stop by the barrel, move her butt to the barrel, so disengage to the barrel. Little tail swish there, but she figured it out, so I release the reins and we continue on. So a nice big walk off here, and I love this turn. If we could eventually get this turn at a faster gait, that would be such a beautiful turn. Look at that nice turn. Obviously we could come in closer, but we are not completely trained. This is just our first day on barrels, so I'm not going to push her. We did some trotting. I just wanted to see if she'd be able to hold that turn fairly well for her first time trotting a barrel. She's such a pretty mover. So here I'm just kind of trotting her through, taking her through, seeing how she reacts. She's going a little wide. Don't really care. Right now, I'm just working on keeping that forward momentum and going where I ask, how I ask, if that makes sense. So keeping that turn and keeping that bend to her. That's what I'm looking for. Here I'm warming her up a little bit and just trying to get her to canter around the outside of the pattern and hold it without running through my hands like she does. And so I'm just asking her to keep her canter, not fight me for the stop like she just did there. I sat back and pulled up a little bit and she tossed her head, so that's why I halted her and asked her to walk off, just trying to get her to pay back attention to me. So we're going to try again here. I'm going to cut that area down a little bit, just try to get her to pay attention a little bit better. And then I'm going to ask for my stop again, and a much, much better stop here. Great stop. So here's our first walkthrough, and I like to over-exaggerate my hands until they're turning really good at the canter. So my hands are over-exaggerated. You can see she got a little confused, like, why are your hands suddenly up so high? And I just nudged her forward. She continued on. She's trying. We warmed up quite a bit. I think I cut out about 15-20 minutes of us just warming up in the pasture, just even though I don't plan on cantering her through. I just want to make sure she's nice and warmed up and good and go. So she's responding really well. She's listening really well, even though Kamani's to the left. And a nice walk home. So that was her first walkthrough. So we walked through both ways 4 or 5 times each, and I decided let's go for a small jog. So it took a little bit to get her into it because there were some construction workers on the railroad tracks. So she was focusing on that. But here's her first trot through. Little wide, not going to really care about it. Not expecting perfection, but she's being controllable. With her, she's very hot-headed, so I like that. She's being very easy to control, except for right there. She fought the bit a little bit to stop, but once she gave and quit fighting, I released. So here's the trot through the other direction. I kind of like to do both directions just to keep their mind going and change it up a little bit. I honestly feel like she went this way a little bit better. Her turns were a little bit tighter. So we'll see which way we end up going. Right there, she got a little confused, slowed down, that's fine. I just push her on, ask her to do another circle, and continue that pace, and come right back down. There, she slowed down a lot nicer. So I let her walk for a little bit and ask her to stop and stand again. So here I'm asking for a bigger trot. You can see she's kind of pulling through me, tossing her head, fighting me a little bit. She's trying to break into the canter, which I'm not wanting, and you can see exactly why I don't canter her right away. Because I know how hot-headed and excited she gets, and she just stops listening and does what she wants to do. So right there, she started yanking through me, so I backed her up, asked her to go back to a walk, pay attention, listen for the cues, pushed her back into a trot when I felt like she was listening. And then when I tried to bring her home, she's like, I'm cantering, so I had to pick up on her a little bit, back her up. I waited for her to relax a little bit, give me a nice quiet back up, and then I let her just stand there and think about it. With her, letting her stand there and think seems to get the point across better than pushing her through. So do what works for you and your horse. And because she got a little hot-headed, we stood there. Probably about 10 minutes we stood here, but you can see her leg cocked, and she relaxed. So again, to change it up for her and her busy brain, we're doing a little bit of technical work. I am using my spur to push her off the barrel, and then using my opposite leg to push her in, just making sure she's responding and understanding what the cue means. As a result of mixing it up, here is the next trot through, which I thought was way more relaxed, but yet she still had enough energy to get herself around the turns. She's being a little bit more responsive after I stopped and let her think for a little bit. And she does like to throw her head down and kind of fight the bit when you stop. You'll see that here. But she's not tossing her head and fighting as much. She's very willing to give this time and respond a little bit better than she did the time before. So in this session, I'm asking her to disengage her forequarters. And I haven't really gotten that technical with her yet, so she's moving her hindquarters a lot. But I'm just waiting for one good crossover on that front end to stop. And we change and go to the other direction. You will see that for half the circle, she is moving her hind end. And that's fine. They all have to get there somehow. But right around here, right here I think it is, yep, I get one good crossover and we end there.